welcome to Rathod's Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 4th March 2025. So let's get started with our discussion. So before seeing those articles which appeared in our today's in the newspaper, so we are going to see about Prelims Cum Mains Foundation batch that we are going to start in our academy. So we are going to start this new batch around 10th of March, and the special features of this course is every day you will be having just 5 hours of classes, and the classes will be taken by expert faculty in this academy. And you will be having weekend test, and as well as everyday answer writing practice will be there. And before starting your course, you will be also getting classes on what is this UPSC and how you have to prepare for this UPSC, and micro listing of topics, and as well as how to write the mains answer, and about essay. You will be having some strategic video classes, and after that only we are going to start your syllabus. And one more thing here is we are also going to provide you the material under this course, which is very updated material with current affairs and as well as previous questions after each and every chapter. And one more thing is we are going to provide classes only in English in both online and offline mode. So if you have any queries, you can call us on the number which is appearing on the screen, that is 8074765513. And now let us see the first article, guys. So if you see the title of this article, read this article once. Supreme Court seeks measures against vulgarity online. So actually this article is talking about comedy shows. So actually many of the students also will be having a habit or a habit of watching this comedy shows also, right? And even in your DAF also you will be feeling this thing like watching stand-up comedy videos, comedy shows like that in your DAF also. And I also see that in many students DAF also they written like their hobby is like watching stand-up comedy videos. So actually now the issue here is in comedy shows they will be using some vulgar language to create comedy. So because of this, now Supreme Court wants to take measures against vulgarity online. Especially they want to control the medium of language that they are using, so that they want to control this vulgarity over comedy. So here from which subject you can see that? See this article. So we have Supreme Court. That means the keyword that you have to see is Supreme Court. And this article is talking about role of Supreme Court. So from which subject you can see? You can see from GS paper 2 under polity. So in polity, we have 3 organs of the state. So what are those 3 organs? We have legislature, we have executive, and we have judiciary. So in judiciary, we have Supreme Court at top and High Court, which is the highest court in the state, and we have district courts or subordinate courts, and they are again divided into civil courts and criminal courts. Okay, so this article is focusing on the Supreme Court, right? So what are the things that you have to see? So you have to open your Lakshmikant book and you have to open this chapter of Supreme Court, and you have to see about history of the Supreme Court and through which act it came into existence in India. And this act you will be seeing in historical background chapter. In historical background, which is the first chapter in your polity Lakshmikant. So in that you will be knowing about the act which led to the establishment of Supreme Court in India. And next you have to see about the present number of judges along with CJI. CJI is nothing but Chief Justice of India, is the topmost judge of Supreme Court. Apart from that, how many judges are there? And even try to collect how many male judges are there here and how many female judges are there. Why? Because in the recent past, so there are some female judges, they are making some statements regarding judiciary, so that you may get a question regarding female participation in judiciary, and they will ask in this context of Supreme Court. So how many female judges are there in this Supreme Court, like that? You have to make the relevant data. And next you have to see about cases. So in the Supreme Court cases, okay, especially regarding appointment of judges, we have first judge case, second judge case, third judge case, and fourth judge case. So you have to see what are those series of judge cases and what are the judgment in that cases. And you have to see about collegium system. You have to see about this collegium system, and you have to see about this NJAC Act, National Judicial Appointments Commission. Okay, and it had been struck down by Supreme Court. It was 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. You have to see that. And even the important thing that you have to focus now relevant to this article is what is the role of judiciary, or what is the role of Supreme Court, and you have to see what are the functions and responsibilities. So in these functions we have original jurisdiction, we have advisory jurisdiction. So like that you have to see the different functions of the Supreme Court, and from these functions earlier already UPSC asked prelims based question, and there is also a chance of getting the question from these functions. And next you have to see about this concept called as judicial activism. So what is this judicial activism? And you have to see what is this judicial restraint. So if you know the meaning of this two important keywords, you may also get question on that topics. For example, you can get a question like recently judicial activism in news. So which of the following options correctly describe that? So in that way you can get simple ABCD related options regarding that question. So you have to be very much careful. So all these things are clearly given in your Lakshmikant. So after this class, at least spend half an hour on that topic and go through these things. Now let us see this article. So if you see the context, this article is saying that Supreme Court of India, led by Justice Suryakant, has ordered Solicitor General to propose regulatory measures to combat the use of vulgarity and offensive languages in online entertainment programs. So actually, if I'm not wrong, in 2020 or 2021, there was a question regarding the Solicitor General and as well as Advocate General. So here in this in this legislature part and as well as in this executive part, you have to see which of the people comes under particularly legislature and as well as particularly executive. So we have at the central level, for example, in Lakshmikant, there is no mention of the Solicitor General, but there was a question in your prelims. That means whenever you are getting this kind of concepts in your news, you have to compulsory make a note of that. So here what you have to do is you have to collect some details regarding this, who is the Solicitor General of India and what is his roles and responsibilities, how it is different from other people. You have to see that. Okay, next one here is this court also said that yes, we have to make some difference or distinction between what comes under this vulgarity and as well as humor. And actually this step which is taken by the court because it wants to uphold moral standards in Indian society and also while avoiding censorship. So especially, do you know this TV channels how they'll work? So if they are running any programs based on that TRP is nothing but the ratings, how much they are getting. So based on that, they'll be working, right? So if they want to get more TRP, they should get the more views. How they'll get more views? Whenever they are making more people to laugh, especially whenever they are conducting any comedy shows. So actually, for increasing of TRP, even they are using some offensive languages and vulgarity. So even if you see Jabardast, it is my own opinion. I don't want to hurt anyone's opinion. So actually, if you watch Jabardast or in some other comedy shows, so they will be using some words which will be having double meaning. So that will cause vulgarity. So even because of using of that vulgarity or offensive languages, so we can't recommend that kind of shows for the very young generation, like teenage people like that. Okay, so here now Supreme Court wants to take certain measures. It is very much necessary now. So here we can understand that Supreme Court is taking some steps towards formal oversight on online content. Especially Supreme Court is showing some concern over the influence of vulgarity and as well as offensive languages on audiences. Especially it is having lot of impact on the youth who are watching that shows. Okay, and even justice also remarking that humor underscore a critical cultural conservation. So we should not use vulgar language or like offensive language for for providing some comedy for this people, and it will be changing on day-to-day basis. That means it is not at all static. So we have to engage stakeholders in the discussions about which is acceptable content and which is unacceptable content. And next one here is it is the moral responsibility of content creators, especially they have to maintain decency in the programs, okay, so that they can give certain message to the people. So if they are using this vulgar language or if they are using like offensive words, so how can they give the message to the society? So here it is a responsibility, it is a moral responsibility of the content creators that they have to use decency in the programs. Okay, so that is the thing. Let us see the next article. So see this title, Tamil Nadu has highest share of women borrowers. So actually Niti Aayog came up with a report. In this report it says that women are having the highest share in borrowing. So this article is very important. So whenever there is a report, for example it is Niti Aayog report, right? So Niti Aayog came up with a report, and this report is saying that there is increased share of women borrowers. That means why women borrow money from either banks or like in other institutions to start a business, or to start business or to do investment in certain areas, right? That means if they are doing any business or if they are investing in anywhere, so can we say that there is achievement of women empowerment, especially economic empowerment of women is done. So women empowerment, especially economic empowerment of women, it is very much important for the overall growth and development of a country. So why? Because as you all know that mostly women will be involved in providing domestic care, especially care for their children or care for their elderly, which is not accounted in our GDP. So whenever women coming outside of their home and whenever they are doing business or they are making some investments, obviously that will be counted in our GDP. That means we can increase share of women's participation in GDP. As you all know that if the population is 100%, half will be male and half will be female. So the males income which is added there, but what about the females? Females is not at all adding, right? So if they are doing certain investments and they are doing business, obviously there will be the increasing of share of GDP. So that what happens, we can achieve our target of 5 trillion economy. Okay, so for that women participation, women empowerment is very important. So we can take example of what are the steps taken by Tamil Nadu government, and now Tamil Nadu will become a role model for the different states in the country, so that we can increase the women's participation in economy. Okay, so this article is important from economy point of view. And next one is Niti Aayog is there, no? So here you have to see about this Niti Aayog from GS paper to polity point of view. So earlier, before this Niti Aayog, what we have PC, that is Planning Commission. So in this Planning Commission, they will be making plans for every once in 5 years. So we dismantled this Planning Commission and we came up with this Niti Aayog. And especially students who are writing this year UPSC examination, either prelims or like if they are confident about prelims and if they are going to write mains, you have to know about for sure Niti Aayog 3 years action agenda. You have to know about this Niti Aayog 3 years action agenda and what are the points that you can collect from that report that you can directly use in your essay and as well as in your mains case. So you have to see this for sure, especially see the important points in this action agenda of Niti Aayog. So now let us see this article. So if you see the context, it says that a recent report released by Niti Aayog, which says that Tamil Nadu leads India with highest percentage of women borrowers. Especially there are 44 percentage of women borrowers are there from Tamil Nadu. That means 44 percentage of women, they are actively participating in economic activities. And what is that report? You can make a note. From borrowers to builders, women role in India's financial growth story. Okay, so this is the name of that report. Whenever you are writing about any answer regarding women empowerment, and if you are supporting this women empowerment, you can quote example of this from borrowers to builders, women's role in India's financial growth story report released by Niti Aayog, which says that 44% of borrowers in Tamil Nadu are women. That means we are supporting, especially state government like Tamil Nadu, are supporting this women's participation in economy. And if you see some important details of this article, the first one is we can understand that there are regional disparities. So if you are comparing South with North, in South we have good literacy and we are having at least certain participation of women in economy. But what about this North? So in North areas, women are permitted for this domestic work only. So because of that, what happened when we are comparing with the North, Central and as well as South? So there is a regional disparity. There are differences between them based on the region. So because of this, here we can understand what are the factors which are responsible for this regional disparities. What might be the factors? So because of their society where they are living, because of their culture norms, and because of the there is lack of financial independence of women in the north compared to that of south. So because of all these things, there is a low participation of women from north compared to that of south. And actually here why these people are borrowing from institutions? Why? Because they started investing. For example, they started some self-help groups. Especially Tamil Nadu is very much famous for the self-help groups, and even other states from the south, they're also contributing for this women involvement in this self-help groups. And next one here is there is 10 percentage of annual growth rate in women borrowers in this Tamil Nadu. That means we can understand that women are contributing around 10 percentage of the GDP of Tamil Nadu. And next one here is we can understand that there is increased female entrepreneurship and even increased female financial participation as well. That will be very important for the overall growth and as well as development of the country. And next one here is whenever there is increasing of credit in women, especially we have to monitor proper credit information, and we have to improve awareness among the people that for women, so we are going to provide certain loans or certain credit systems so that we can also improve financial literacy. That means nothing but we are giving information to the women regarding which kind of services they can avail. And next one is we can also ensure sustainable financial behavior that will leads to increasing of better credit opportunities for women. And next one here is this report also says that yes, banks need to do some changes, especially banks need to enhance credit flow for women. And actually government of India and as well as Reserve Bank of India, they are advocating for increased credit allocation for women so that they will meet the standards of women borrowers. And especially in north and central states there are some challenges. That means nothing but there is a very less borrowers from this states, that is from women. So because of this, what happens, we have to increase awareness and we have to bring the progress among these people. So we have to improve financial literacy in these areas. And actually why women are not coming for the banking services to get the loans or to get the credit? So even they don't have proper literacy, because if you want to go to the bank you have to fill the forms. So if they are not literate means, so it is a one barrier. Apart from that, there is lack of facilities in this northern and central states, and even because of social norms and culture norms which are strictly followed in these regions, which are discouraging women to seek loans. So we have to address all these problems so that we can improve what we can improve, especially women's participation in economic growth. So if you are getting a question in mains like what are the important causes for decreasing of women participation means, so this para that you can write, and along with that points you have to give some data. Yes, they are the people who are following societal norms and financial literacy and literacy level in these areas. And if you're giving some data regarding banking facilities in the rural areas in northern and central India, so if you're giving some data which is supporting that, then your work is done, guys. So this is about your mains. And now let us see the next article. India launches multi-nation alliance for collaboration on sustainable development. So here in this title we can identify two important keywords. First one is sustainable development. Sustainable development is nothing but we are focusing on improving of growth and development without compromising the needs of next generation. That is called as sustainable development. So to achieve the sustainable development, United Nations came up with sustainable development goals, that is called as SDGs, and we have 17 SDGs and we have to achieve them by 2030. So you have to remember all these 17 sustainable development goals for sure. Whatever it may be, you have to remember those 17. So that is the thing that you have to see, and you have to understand what is the sustainable development goals and what are the advantages of these goals, and you have to see what are the challenges of addressing those goals. And next you have to take one by one goal, that is for example SDG 1, and you have to see what are the government steps taken to achieve this, and take sustainable development goals and write what are the government steps, for example schemes or acts or anything. Okay, so make a list of that, so that if you're getting any question regarding sustainable development, you will be having a data in a single page, and you will be revising that, so that you will be recalling, and that will be there in your brain, in your database, and you can write a very good answer. And what are the data that you are making as a notes for this SDG, that will be also very useful for your essay, guys. And essay, and even in governance you can see, because you will be writing about what are the steps taken by the government, that is a part of your governance. Okay, now let us see this article in detail, and this is very important for students who are going to write this year prelims. So India initiated Cities Coalition for Circularity. You can see 1, 2, 3 C's. It is also called as C3 program. C3 is nothing but Cities Coalition for Circularity. And it is a multinational alliance. And this alliance, it is focusing on collaboration among cities and sharing of knowledge and engaging the private sector for sustainable urban development. So they are focusing on cities. Second one is coalition for circularities, and actually it is a collaboration, that means nothing but grouping of cities along with sharing of knowledge. And next one is engaging the private sector for sustainable urban development. They are focusing on especially urban development here. And if you see some important details, the first point that you have to remember is India's leadership in sustainability. So by launching this C3, so India itself showcasing its position as a leader in advocating sustainable urban practices. And this coalition is not only addressing local challenges, but even we are taking the model of other nations. In other countries, how they are maintaining sustainable development. So we are also taking those case studies and we are going to implement, so that we can focus on what are the resources which are there. We are going to use that resource efficiency, and as well as we are focusing on environmental sustainability as well. And next one, actually this program, it is a global collaboration framework. That means we are including multinational cities as well here, so that we'll be having the collaboration. So whenever we are having this kind of grouping, obviously we can ensure the information sharing and even sharing of best practice, what are the things that they are doing in their areas, and we can understand like diverse urban landscape. So what is their technology they are using, so what is their landscape, and we can get some solutions to address our local solutions. And next one here is we are also focusing on pro planet approach as well. That means here especially the people mindset should be changed towards eco friendliness in urban planning. So actually whenever there is a very huge migration is happening from rural areas to urban areas, so can we ensure proper planned expansion of urban areas? No, it will lead to the unplanned urban area spreading. That will lead to a lot of problems. And even if you go to any city, especially if you see in Hyderabad, in Ashok Nagar, wherever you go, this litter had been thrown here and there. So who are throwing that litter? That is people, right? So here we have to ensure eco-friendliness in urban planning. So we have to involve community in engaging with the sustainability efforts, and they have to recognize the role of citizens. These citizens should be the active participants in promoting the circular economy practices. And next one here is they also came up with signing of one memorandum of understanding, that is called as Cities 2.0. Cities 2.0 is one memorandum of understanding which had been signed, and it is a commitment of rupees 1800 crore, and around 18 cities are part of this. So especially they are focusing on driving of urban transformation, and these investments do not only provide immediate benefits, and even we are focusing on lighthouse projects and similar initiatives which happen in some nations, and we are also bringing that best practice from other cities to India. And next one is we are also going to focus challenges of urbanization. So if you see this point, so this point will be a separate mains question, guys. So we are having a huge rate, very high rate of migration from rural to urban areas that will leads to rapid urbanization, and wage generation is increasing, and whatever resource we are having, there is resource depletion, especially it is happening in many Asia Pacific nations. Okay, and even environmental degradation is happening. So because of this, now we need to have this kind of platform C3 for collaboration for sustainable solutions. So here you may get a main question like, discuss what are the challenges faced by urban areas and suggest some measures. So in that measures you can add this C3 point. Okay, so that it will be like a value added for your answer. Okay, so that is the thing, and try to make a list of what are the challenges faced by urban areas, and try to see what are the measures taken by already the government, and give some way forward or what measures can be taken further to address these challenges. So it will be a mains question, guys. And let us see the next article. External Affairs Minister to visit UK, Ireland to strengthen bilateral ties. So whenever any of our government officers or officials, they are going to the other countries, it will be very important. And actually this UK is in news because we are going to finalize free trade agreement with this UK soon. Okay, so you have to open your map and see where is UK and Ireland located, and you have to see nearby water bodies and as well as the bordering countries as well. So you may get question from this area. And once this finalization of this FTA between India and UK happens, and you will be getting a lot of articles, then we will be having a discussion. So as of now, just focus on this UK and Ireland map. That's it. And let us see the next article. See here, study finds 6,327 Gangetic dolphins across 4 states. This is at most important topic of the day. And actually why it is important, because for the first time in India, we came up with this finding of number of dolphins in our country. And they said that it had been done in 4 states. So make a list of these 4 states where they had did this study. And if you see this infographic, you can see that this is the first estimate of Gangetic dolphins in India. And they found how many dolphins? 6,327 dolphins which are present in Ganga and its tributaries. Okay, and around 584 dolphins are present in Brahmaputra. So you may get a question. So recently, Ganges River dolphin is in news. Consider the following statements, and they may give the statements like the first one: these dolphins are found in only Ganges River system. No, it is found in Ganga and as well as Brahmaputra. And second statement they may give like, so these are found in 8 states in India. No, they are found in 4 states. And you have to see which are the 4 states where these are found. And next, you may get one more question. So one more speciality of this river dolphin is it is a blind dolphin. So it can't see. But how can it move is based on echo. Okay, so that will also come into picture. Okay, so like that they will give multiple statements, and they may also give a statement regarding conservation status. It is listed as vulnerable under this sites. Okay, so vulnerable under this IUCN red list. So like that they will give some questions, and it is a very important. Keep star mark for this topic and try to make the details of this Gangetic river dolphin for sure. So now let us see this topic. So the first estimate of Gangetic dolphins happened, and they found around 6,327. There is no need of remembering that number. So leave that. So remember that around 6,000 dolphins are there in India, in Ganga and as well as in Brahmaputra. Okay, and this report is on this World Wildlife Day. This report had been released by Union Environment Ministry. Okay, and they said that this dolphin is present in Ganga and its tributaries and as well as Brahmaputra main stem. and even in Brahmaputra tributaries also it is present. And not only Brahmaputra and Ganga, even in this Bias also we can see this. Okay, you have to make a note here. Bias. Okay, where it is? Okay, and three Indus River dolphins. So you have to see here, it is present in Ganga, Brahmaputra, and as well as Bias also. Okay, Bias is one of the tributary of which river? Bias Indus. Okay, and actually why it is very much difficult till now, why didn't we go for having this survey of this river dolphins? It's just very difficult. So if you go for counting of tigers and if you go for counting of elephants, so those elephants easily we can count because they are having unique strips. Tigers, they will be having strips, and based on the size of this elephant ears, so they can easily caught on this camera traps, and we can distinguish from one animal to another. But here dolphins, they don't have eyes and they look similar, so that it is very difficult. But actually they did a lot of things to count this number of dolphins. Now they used acoustic hydrophones, especially they are underwater microphones, so they pick up the sounds which had been emitted by the dolphins. And these animals are blind and they rely on echolocations to communicate and move. So based on the sounds that had been emitted by the dolphins, they had been recorded by using these microphones, and this technology is called as acoustic hydrophones technology. So you may get a question. So recently Ganges River Dolphin Survey had been done, and which of the following technology had been used to count these dolphins? And they may give camera traps and they may give some other things, and the answer will be acoustic hydrophones, radio tagging, like that they will give some examples. So from that point of view also you should be very much careful. And if you see some facts here, Ganges River dolphin is also called as Susu. And the scientific name here is Platanista gangetica, and discovered in year 1801. And where they will see, normally they will be seen in this Ganges and Brahmaputra, and very little number seen in this Bias River. And especially seen in which country? So on these countries also you may get a question in your statements. That is India it is seen, Bangladesh it is seen, and even in Nepal also it is seen. And actually one important characteristics of this dolphin is it will live only in the fresh water. If water is getting polluted, means the number will be decreasing for sure. That means it is also used as a bio indicator. Okay, and so if you see the conservation status, it is listed as endangered in IUCN and Schedule 1 in WPA, that is Wildlife Protection Act, and Appendix 1 in CITES. And till now, what are the steps taken by the government for conservation of this dolphin? So government came up with this project called as Project Dolphin. And one thing that you have to see is whenever if there is any animal in news, you have to see about what are the steps taken. It is very important. For example, we are having different projects like Project Tiger, Project Elephant, Project Dolphin, Project Vulture. Okay, so whenever the animal number is decreasing, government will be taking certain steps under this conservation. It may be in situ or it may be ex situ, and they want to improve the number of these animals. Okay, Project Dolphin is there, and we have National Ganga River Dolphin Day, which is celebrated on October 5th. And next one is Dolphin Sanctuary, that is called as Vikramshila Gangetic Dolphin Sanctuary in Bihar. And even Conservation Action Plan for Dolphins had been launched in year 2016. So these are the steps taken by the government for ensuring the number of Gangetic dolphins. And let us see the next article. See this article, ISRO releases second set of scientific data from Aditya mission. So recently we discussed that Aditya mission sent information regarding solar flares. And now the same mission sent one more data about our sun. So this time this information is about, so you have to update in that article where you wrote about the first mission. So you have to see this information is about sun's photosphere, chromosphere, and its outer atmosphere called as corona. So this information had been released now. So whenever I discussed about this Aditya L1, the first set of data I discussed about the parts of sun. So inside we have core and we have chromosphere, we have photosphere, everything I said, right? So you have to again revise that topic. Along with that, you have to add this information there in that place. Okay, and see about some facts regarding this Aditya L1 also, because it is a successful mission of India and there is a very high chance of getting question regarding this Lagrange points or regarding this Aditya L1 mission. And even you have to see about different countries' sun's mission as well. You can get a for match the following related question also. So India's mission is L1. So in the same way, so if NASA came up with that any mission of sun, what is that? So like that, you have to make a list of sun related missions launched by different countries. It may be Japan, it may be Russia, it may be China, it may be JAXA, it may be like that. Okay, so there is one more article. So recently there is one report that is about increasing of burden of obesity in India, right? So actually this article is saying that in every 4 people in India, one is getting this obesity. So actually this had been given in one survey, that is National Family Health Survey 5, suggested that nearly 1 in every 4 men or women is obese. Obese is nothing but there is overweight, and obese ranges from 80 to 50 percentage across the states in both men and women. Okay, so there is increasing of weight. So here you have to see about what is this obesity and what is this body mass index. And next one is you have to see what are the reasons for obesity, because of lifestyle, because of food habits, because of sedentary things, not doing any work like that, only eating and sitting simply, watching reels, watching movies like that. So no work. And if there is also states, we will be not taking states, we will be taking lift. So like that, because of the sedentary lifestyle, there is increasing of obesity. And you have to see about uh, what is the impact. So what happens if a person is obese? So they can't sit, they can't stand, they can't bend, so they can't touch their knees with their hands. So this will be the problem. So not only that, but there will be the huge health related things they will happen. So what happens obesity because of overweight? So what are the fat which is accumulated in the body, that will be accumulated in wrong places. So that will be also get accumulated in the blood vessels. So whenever this fat which is accumulated in the blood vessels, it become narrow, and it will leads to cardiovascular diseases, increasing of blood pressure, everything. So like that, what happens? You have to see what is the global cost. Okay, so if you see here, there is one estimate which says that the annual economic cost of obesity and being overweight in India as per 2019 is $28.95 billion, and it is costing around 1.02 percentage of India's GDP. So it is affecting a lot. Okay, so we have to take certain programs. So here this article also giving certain solutions what can be done. So this paragraph is important. They are giving like 7 points. Let us see those. So first point here is they are saying that we need to go for effective communication, public awareness campaigns. So first one is communication we can do, and we can also focus on awareness programs. So in this awareness program, we have to highlight obesity as a disease, and even we have to say that what is the rising of burden and how this obesity causes other diseases like hypertension, diabetes mellitus, okay, and liver disorders, etc. So we have to improve awareness, first thing that we have to do. And second one is we have to promote and facilitate regular physical activity, especially in urban areas. So here municipality can take some steps for conducting of better urban planning, urban infrastructure development, and even separate bicycle lanes. Instead of using vehicles, we can also promote bicycle lanes and free access to the park and other public spaces, and even government can open the free gyms so that people can go and do workouts. So second important point. And third one here is whatever the foods which are causing overweight, for example packaged foods, for example high sugar foods, so we have to go for imposing of more tax. So whenever there is improving of increasing of tax on the food which are causing obesity, then what happens, people will take that less, and government needs to provide subsidies on the healthier foods, for example fruits and vegetables, etc. Then government need to provide them at the subsidized rate. That means healthy food low cost, and this food which is causing obesity high cost, so that we can promote this healthier foods. And fourth one is weight, height and waist circumference measurement. So actually we have to go for weight, height and waist circumference measurement. It should be the integral part of all health visits and preventive checkups. So whenever we are going to hospital, they will be checking BP, they will be checking your pulse rate, they will be checking your SpO2, and they will be checking your weight. So will they check their waist? No, right? So here we have to include checking of weight, checking of height, and checking of waist. Why? Because if you are including all those, if you are keeping that all those in this BMI calculator, that will give your BMI. That means we can warn them before entering into this state of obese, so that they will be taking some steps that we can do. That is a fourth step. And next one here is anti-obesity medicines. They should be getting licensed. Okay, so we have to get the license for providing of anti-obese medicines. And next one is every office and workspace needs to raise awareness about unhealthy weight in the workforce. And especially we have to make weighing scales, that is weight machines should be available at each and every workspace, so that we can go for regular awareness campaigns about obesity prevention even in this office and workspace. And next one here is last point, schools, colleges should be engaged in knowledge sharing and as well as healthy eating habits and healthy diets. And even in school canteens also, rather than providing chips packet or high sugary things or bakery things, we have to make the availability of serving of healthy foods. So if we are taking these steps in our country, obviously we can achieve the target of reducing of obesity. And these steps are very important, guys, because recently there is a report regarding obesity and even National Family Health Survey is saying that yes, obesity is increasing. So we have to give some measures, right? You have to know what can be done. So from that point of view, this paragraph is very useful. Okay, and let us see the next article. So this is the last article of the day. Oh, same thing. So actually in your text and context, there is one article regarding one airport. So see that airport. Okay, that's it. So these are some important topics that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. I hope you enjoyed this class and thank you so much for watching, and please do like this class and share this class. And don't forget to subscribe to Rathod Science Academy.